right, so this is going to be Aldo Marquis, and he is part of a team known as CIT, that's Citizens Investigation Team, that stands for, which several years ago interviewed witnesses to the flight path of the airline that were told crashed into the Pentagon on September 11th, 2001. But the witnesses that he, along with Craig Ranke, interviewed describe a completely different flight path than the one that the official story describes. And this creates sort of an anomaly that throws the entire official story of what happened there into serious question. And they've got a number of films that outline this that you can find on the internet. And we'll be sharing some clips from those films today. But let's go ahead and bring him on in. Again, this is Aldo Marquis. Aldo, thank you for joining us today on Dawn of the Truth, our 24th anniversary event. I'm looking forward to hearing what you bring to the table.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to take a long time with this one, folks. So grab your favorite snack, a can of beer, whatever you do when you're watching these things, because you're going to be seeing a lot of information. But I want to begin by having you share with us CIT's story, how you guys got involved with taking it upon yourselves to do your own investigation of what happened at the Pentagon on September 11th.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that's important for people to know. So it pretty much started with me. I was kind of the preeminent, researcher on the Loose Change Forum way back in the day when loose change was a big deal. I became obsessed with the Pentagon. That was just kind of I got involved with all kinds of other research related to hijackers and the planes that hit the towers. But I just really had a fascination with the Pentagon and why it was so anomalous and why, all these theories that were out there on how it happened. And so I spent quite a bit of time, looking at different stuff, looking at the different theories that people had. And, I reached a point where I couldn't do it anymore. I really realized that the only way to really know is to actually go out there, boots on the ground and do the whole gumshoe detective thing. So I kind of roped Craig into it. Craig and I had actually met I have younger twin brothers. And one of them had a group on MySpace, of all things, called Humans Against the New World Order. So that's how we met. We had, our little meetings and, things that we thought we could do to make a change. And we just we just had a friendship from that. And, he knew I was doing my thing with 9/11. And that slowly turned into like some serious research. Some of it was, based on the theories that were out there, the missiles and the Global Hawks and the A3 Sky Warrior. And I kind of followed all these different theories or even pieces of evidence that were out there. So I really wanted to know. And just Dylan Avery had seen a lot of my research on there and, I guess was impressed by it. And a lot of my evidence started to focus on the witnesses, on, what they were saying, where they were, what their POV was. I mean, I kind of took like a, lawyer or a detective type of position of where did they actually see, where could they see the Pentagon? Could they see the plane? Could they see an alleged impact? And when you started actually combing through them, and I was pretty fortunate in finding a lot of these POVs, POVs at a train station or wherever. And then you start to learn that a lot of these people are just deducing an impact. They saw the plane and then they saw a fireball in the distance, or they saw smoke in the distance. And then therefore I saw the plane hit the Pentagon, or I saw the plane that hit the Pentagon. And once you cancel out a lot of those, you realize that, there was still something there that, needed to be investigated. And I figured the closer we got to the actual impact zone would be, that's how we would, or the alleged impact zone, that would, kind of lead us to the truth. So this is the interesting thing that not a lot of people know, is that this all started with Sergeant Legacy, and it started well before CIT. And he was just another witness that I was mapping and taking his account and dissecting it. And he had an email exchange with a guy named Dick Eastman. And Dick was fortunate. I mean, he kind of started this whole thing, to be honest. In speaking with Legacy, he found out, or Legacy had said, that he was on the starboard side of the plane. When the plane went by, while he was at the Citgo refilling. So that already rang alarm bells for a lot of Pentagon researchers. He's the only one who gave that type of detail that would potentially place it in a place that it shouldn't be in order to hit the light poles and cause the physical damage. However, there was a set of pumps on the south side. I don't know what they were. I think they were diesel pumps or something like that. And so I thought, well, he still could be telling the truth. It could be, he could still line up with the official path, or he could be a liar, or, he's an op and he's throwing confusion. You get in that hall of mirrors where you just don't know what really happened. So that's where it started. I always kind of tucked that one away and always remembered that. And it was a kind of an important detail. So when we went, the first time we went with the loose change guys. He basically flew me out, and I, told him, well, Craig's got to go with us. And so he, included Craig in. We went there and start our little trek and started interviewing people in the neighborhoods, and independent people, regular people. And we determined there was a large airliner. And mind you, I was willing to accept there's a large airliner, there's no missile, there's no Global Hawk, there's a large airliner and it impacted, and I'm wrong. I was totally willing to accept that. So minus the little details, like one witness calling it a white plane and other witnesses calling it a white plane. It was only till we got to the Citgo, and it is a funny story, is that Craig and Dylan caused us to get detained. And I'm talking like detained by the Pentagon police. They went up on that little grassy knoll, the little knoll where you see Robert Tercios and Craig do their interview. And they went up there to get some shots. And then all of a sudden we get rolled up on by Pentagon police. And that turned into the unmarked police in the suits, and them taking Polaroids of us and interviewing us in this weird way where they're like cocking their head. They one guy that did it to me, he's like cocking his head after he'd asked me a question, and he's just staring into my eyes like it was some technique to determine if I was lying. And anyways, at the end of it, it was not that big a deal. They kind of said, hey, we understand why you're doing it, what you're doing. We appreciate it, but you need to get, permission with the public relations. So that happened. And this is the turning point. Okay. When we were there, we were trying to speak with anybody at the gas station that worked there that saw the plane. And again, I've got Legacy's account in my mind, starboard side of the plane. That would put it on the north side, which I, considered a possibility. But again, I also considered it being the south side because he was at that, he could have been at those other pumps, which he wasn't, obviously. And in speaking with the manager there, this lady, she said, we asked, did you have anybody here see it? She goes, yeah, one of my employees did. And I immediately asked, do you know which side, or remember which side of the gas station he saw it on? And she's on the south, we're on the south side. And she points to the north. She goes, yeah, it came down over here. And Craig and I looked at each other like, my soul just dropped out of my body. That's when I knew. That's when I knew the plane was on the north side. Light poles are staged. Lloyd's lying. The plane didn't hit the building. For me, that was my confirmation. Not to say that we just ran willy-nilly with it. And so yeah, we from there we just knew what we had. So anyways, that's what started our progression. Is we started to try to get interviews with witnesses that can confirm or refute which side of the gas station the plane was on. That was our focus. Because again, yeah.
I'm just wondering if we should, while we're talking, whether we should put up that visual of because I'm not sure everybody watching is going to know the significance of north versus south, and it might be good to give Andy. I was wondering about bringing up those two slides, and then that might be yep.
Okay, so the red line that you guys see there, that the audience sees there, that is the official path. It's documented through, some of the data related to radar, and the FDR. It's still, there's some discrepancies there we're not going to necessarily get into. It was documented by, I believe it was the NTSB at the 9/11 commissions. And most importantly, it's documented through the directional damage, starting with those light poles. And I'm going to just be as pointed as I can be in that the second that Legassi, Robert Tercios, the gas station employee, and all the other witnesses reference that plane being on the north side of the gas station, it's done. It's done. It's an inside job. It's 100% a government operation or rogue elements of a government operation. It's done. That's how important this is. That's how scary and frightening this is. That's why Craig and I looked at each other and like our eyes bugged out of our head, like we knew what we had. And the plane absolutely cannot be on the north side. There's zero room for any deviation. It's down to the foot of where that plane's got to be, and it's got to be to line up with the damage. And I'm kind of going to jump ahead of here a little bit. The smoking gun, in my opinion, and I think if you really think about it, you're going to agree with me, are those light poles. It's not the directional damage. It's not even necessarily that the plane didn't hit the building and kept going. It's the light poles. That's what proves unequivocally that it's an inside job, and that gave us the first known accomplice in Lloyd England, which we'll obviously get into. Whether he was, complete. I mean, I think he was complicit in knowing what he did and who put him up to it. Some people may think he was coerced, or there's a possibility maybe he was coerced. But when you see the way he talks to us or way he reacts with Craig and the little subtle cryptic, virtual confessions that he gives when confronted with this evidence, it's pretty clear that he knows what he did, and he was not coerced into it. Is that?
Yeah. If I can just looking at this image here, sort of sum up, I guess, just so people are very clear that red line is the official flight path, and the little yellow things are the light poles that were allegedly hit by the plane and knocked over. So because of those poles and the rest of the damage, as Aldo said, it's just there's no way you can have the flight path can't deviate from that. Otherwise, it wouldn't hit all the poles.
Yeah.
And so anything that is even over the Citgo station, or certainly to the north of it, which is in this image is the left side is to the north, as you can, so anything that doesn't go along that red line proves that the damage was staged. So right. There you go. And the other image I was going to show, and I'll show it again later, so people will, after we look at the witnesses. But this image is straight overhead. You can see right in the center where it says Vantage number 4. That's the gas station, and the green line in this case is the official path, and the yellow lines are the paths drawn by some of the witnesses that Aldo and Craig interviewed. So I just kind of plant that, and then actually, Andy, you can pull this down again.
Yeah. As you can see on there's a building called the Navy Annex. They look like with the multiple wings, look like a couple of capital E's running together, I guess you could say. That deviation is where it starts as it veers, to the north side of Columbia Pike. That's also important, and that also adds to it. But again, the gas station is the focal point. It's what makes it easy for people to understand. And the second that it went to that north path, it's a wrap. It's done. And that first light pole is the most crucial. There's no way on this planet that plane can hit that light pole at any speed and come in low and level across the lawn like we see on the supposed or alleged 5 frames video, security video. There's no way that it can cause the directional damage as well. And as you'll see in the interview, again, we knew with the north side flight path, the plane didn't hit the building. It had to have been a flyover. We call it a flyover. You can call it a flyby, whatever you want to call it, however, whichever direction it veered. But with Tercios, and we'll get to that interview as well. Maybe we could start with Legassi. And he is the star witness, and we say star witness because he's actually at the gas station. He's on the gas station property, and mind you, again, I still thought there was that other side, that south side, that had those pumps that were not under the canopy that he could have been at. So when Craig got done with that interview, I wasn't there for that interview. I couldn't make it because of work and my time constraints that I had. I couldn't go. So he was armed with my questions. We knew what we were looking for. We mainly wanted to confirm, and we kind of already knew that he was going to be at one of those pumps, and he obviously was on the most northern side of the gas station. He's our star witness because he is a police officer, and he's actually on the gas station property, much like Tercios. So, yeah, you want to pull that up, Craig?
Yeah, let's pull it up. Just to repeat again, Legassi is... I don't know where that noise is.
Yeah, it might be. I think it might be echoing through Aldo's speaker there, but that's okay. We'll deal with it.
Okay.
I just want to summarize for the audience here for newbies. So we've got witnesses describing a different flight path, completely different flight path than what the official story says. But the official story says, hey, here's these light poles that were destroyed in the official flight path, that if you actually follow the other flight path that the people on the street are describing, wouldn't have gotten damaged. So if these light poles were damaged, that means that they were staged, and we've got a major anomaly here between what people who were there describe and what the official story says. And if those light poles were damaged, then they had to be damaged by some other entity, right? Staged.
Right. It definitely has to be staged at that point. But and Craig, I know you were at what point you were starting to make, and that's a great point too. Is that and to back up a little bit. The reason why we were able to get Legassi, Legassi was a published witness. I think he was on ABC News, and that's kind of how Dick Eastman found him. But we were able to get him and Chadwick Brooks because when we actually did do it right and contact the public relations, we were telling the truth in that we wanted to dispel the conspiracy theories about missiles and global hawks and that stuff. That was true. We know there was a big airliner there, but the main thing we were focused on was that north side detail, that north of the gas station detail. So what you got to understand is that these witnesses thought they were supporting the official story. They believed the official story. They believed the plane impacted, but they, inadvertently or unwittingly absolutely destroyed the official story the second they pointed to that north side of the gas station. And I'll get into more of what happened in the aftermath after they knew what they had done. So this is some inside baseball that not a lot of people know.
Right. So let me just get the right number here. So clip number 4, Andy.
All right, here we go. Clip number 4. Here we go.
Where did you see the plane coming from exactly? What direction? Did you see it approaching?
Well, I saw it, like I said, if you look here where Arlington Cemetery is, right about where those transformers are. Yeah. That's the first place I saw it. It cleared all these lampposts, cleared all the light posts.
So it was heading towards you, coming from Arlington Cemetery over there?
No. It was heading from left to right. It came from FOB2 area.
So you're saying it came from to the north side of the Navy annex, even?
Yes. Now, what it did before those transformers, I don't know, because that's the first place I really saw it was right there. But it was not coming towards me. It was coming from left to right, or from east, or from west to east.
That stone fence that we just zoomed in on over there is the fence to the Arlington National Cemetery. Yes. And as far as you could tell, the fuselage was over that.
Yeah, best guess estimate, that's about where the fuselage was.
And how high was it at that time?
About 150 feet AGL.
All right, now how sure are you that the plane was to the north, coming from the north side of the Navy Annex? You're saying it was pretty much between the Navy Annex and Arlington Cemetery? Yeah. How certain are you of that?
100%. Bet my life on it. 100%. Bet my life.
Wow.
Yeah. So
just so it's clear, he's pointing to the north, which is where the cemetery is. It's north of the gas station and north of the Navy Annex, and that's where he's pointing when he points across that lawn.
Right, and you got to imagine, like, when Craig gets done with the interview, I'm like, which pump was he at? I was like, still keeping the idea that he could have been on the south side, but Craig basically explained where he was at. And yeah, and then we giggled all about the when they came together, that whole thing where they're coming together and they're drawing the flight paths and saying they've never talked about it, and they draw almost the exact same flight path, him and Officer Chadwick Brooks.
Yeah, why don't we jump to those two?
Yeah.
While we're on a roll here.
Yep.
So this would be Andy, clips 5, and then you can go right from 5 and then play 6 right after that.
All right, number 5. Here we go.
What side of the station did you see the plane fly over?
Okay, actually, from the front of the station. From the front of the station, exactly where we were at earlier, where the yellow Jersey barrier.
Okay, was it more on the, when we're facing the station, more on the north side or to the left?
No, it was more to the left.
More to the left, okay. And was the plane, the entire plane to the left of the station, or maybe portion of it over the canopy of the station?
No, it was more towards the left.
It was the entire plane was to the left station, the wing and everything.
Correct.
All right, now number 6.
I think that's pretty close.
That's damn near perfect from what I saw. And we've never, for the record, we've never talked to each other about
Discussed
this
it at all.
So neither of you guys have even really talked about this with each other.
Never talked.
Never in all these 5 years, and you both independently drew the flight path line pretty much exact.
I know. The way this has been going, who knew what he was going to put down there, because he was in a different location looking over. But it's right there, which makes me feel good about the way I remembered it.
So you're both pretty much 100% certain that that's what you remember the flight path
From different locations, yes.
Now let me ask you this. This is going to sound kind of silly. What are the odds that both of you are mistaken as far as the fact that the plane was on this side of the station and that the plane actually came from the south side of the station?
I tell you right now, you can't say more than 100% because there's no way it was anywhere other than where I said it was.
What about you?
Again, something like that, something of that magnitude.
So to reverse that question, what's the percentage chance that the plane was actually on the south side of the station?
0 chance? Is there less than 0%?
Yeah.
I like those odds.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
and again, you got to understand, there's no way they would have went on camera if they knew the implications of what they were describing. There's no way. And just to kind of, again, give you guys some inside baseball, we spoke with Chadwick Brooks. We didn't get it on recording or anything, but, he was kind of laughing about it, and that his family, we, in our Pentagon version, we put a little background music, was kind of humorous. And so he was kind of, jovial about the whole interview and everything, not necessarily the implications. But we asked him and we said, what it meant, and basically like, what do you think about that? And he said, anything's possible. Like he could have been mistaken. And, again, if he actually saw the flyover, or, he probably would not have gone on camera. So I think it was just seeing the plane approach. And again, the same thing with Legacy. I think he jumped in his car, if I remember correctly. Like because a lot of these people, think about it. You see, we're under attack, and you see a large airliner heading towards the Pentagon. You don't know if they're going to shoot missiles out of that thing. You don't know if it crashes, if there's going to be debris flying, you know what I mean, all the way back to you. I mean, I know I would. I probably wouldn't be watching the whole thing. I mean, I'm sure people far enough back would probably sit and watch, or be able to watch, or feel confident in watching. But yeah, that was, that was kind of his sentiment, was that anything is possible. That's what I remember him saying. And it's not like he was mad at us or anything. Legacy, on the other hand, he was not happy with, obviously that it was conspiracy related. But one interesting fact is that he was so perplexed by the official flight path and the light poles that he went up on the highway to inspect the light poles. That's what he said in an email to us. So he was perplexed by it. He's trying to make sense of this. He didn't, think about it. These guys are not paying attention to all the details. They're not paying attention to where the light poles are at and where they weren't thinking about any of that. They were just doing their job that day. But again, the north of the Citgo flight path and the impact of light poles and the building are mutually exclusive. You can't have both. That is it. So if you believe these witnesses placing that plane on the north side of the gas station, it's a wrap. It's done. It's 100% an inside job. So, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. I just want to add that one important detail. You mentioned the possibility, you dismissing the possibility that Legacy was at the other pump on the other side of the gas station. The reason why that's important is because from where he was, and you can see in the clip where he's standing when he's describing the path, he could not see the plane from that position if it were on the official flight path, because it would have been blocked by the gas station. Right. So there's no way you would make that mistake. The plane disappears from view for several seconds, and then you forget that. There's no way. So there's no question that he is stating that it was north of the gas station, which means it didn't hit the building. So
right.
Do you want to talk about Robert Tercios, who's Robert Tercios? I should let Aldo explain it, but he's a gas station employee. But you want to set it up?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, when we went on that first trip with Dylan and Russell Pickering and those guys, we got the gas station manager had said that he saw the plane on the north side of the gas station, and so we knew he was a key witness that we had to interview. So he wasn't at work at the time, and so after we got back, I remember calling. I believe I even called from work, and I called and I got him on the phone, and then I spoke with him and he confirmed the north side flight path over the phone. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was this time. I don't know if I talked to him another time after that, after we actually got his interview. No, I don't think we did. But when he describing the plane, this is the one thing I really remembered from that call with him before we actually interviewed him, was that I asked him what the plane looked like. And he said, well, I know what an American Airlines looks like. He goes, and he kind of laughed, nervously. He goes, I don't know what that was, though. So, I would think, obviously, if the plane's not going to hit the building and it's going to come out on the other side, and it's going to be blamed on being a second plane, that it can't totally look like an American Airlines. It could kind of maybe have some, elements of what an American Airlines looks like, but, it probably didn't fully look like one. And like I said, a lot of witnesses were describing it as a white plane. So it might have been more white, or maybe the sun reflecting off of it made it look white. I don't know. But that was the one thing he did. So, we go back. We got, another follow-up trip. Craig got, or I think actually, excuse me, that wasn't the follow-up trip. I think that was that same trip where we got Legacy and Brooks. Because in order for us to interview him at the gas station, we needed chaperones. So Legacy and Brooks essentially were the chaperones for those interviews, which was kind of funny.
It's funny.
Yeah. So he got Tercios, and obviously, as you will see from the video, he obviously describes the north flight path as well, north of the gas station flight path. But one of the key elements and one of the big smoking guns that he brings to the table is that he said the plane lifted up over the highway. So as it's coming in, it did a pull up over the highway, and maybe you could just play it, Craig, and
Clip three, Andy.
3. Here we go.
This is exactly where you saw the plane fly by, right?
Yes. As I said before, it seemed like it was gonna crash onto the street here, but it did. I saw it go up a little bit, go up a little bit, headed towards the Pentagon.
As far as how it came over this corner, was it more like the wing or the body? Was the left wing, the right wing, or the actual body?
Oh, no, it was more like the right wing headed.
I gave you this piece of paper yesterday to draw a flight path on that. That's your drawing, correct?
Yes. Well, yes, correct.
This is the drawing you made of the flight path.
Yeah, and there's another. I don't know if you have it in that clip, but there's another part of the interview where they go up on that little knoll, that grassy knoll, and he reiterates the pull up again, and they show the sign that he believes it flew over, which is further north, obviously. And his perspective again, I think where he showed him, he was on the southern part or the middle part, like where the store's at, the actual store, kind of on that side at the back of the station. And so that's where, he draws the line where he thinks, he saw it. But on the north side, he's looking to his left, to the north, and he sees it.
He says in the other clip, we don't have the other clip, but he says, because he's asked by Craig in the interview about what part of the plane was over the canopy, and he says the right wing. And then when Craig asks about the fuselage, basically that tree that is behind Tercios, he says the fuselage went over that tree. So that tree is completely to the north of the gas station.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a little closer than some of the other witnesses, but it's the same side of the gas station.
Right, exactly. And again, if the plane's on the north side of that gas station, it cannot hit the light poles, it cannot hit the building. You've got your inside job right there. And that's important. I mean, I want to keep conveying this to people, because you've got to understand what we did by putting our names and our lives on the line by doing this, is that we hoped after the fact that people would get, go to the FBI, or not that they would probably be any help, but go to their elected officials and get these people subpoenaed, get these people to testify to this detail, this one simple left, right, black, white detail of which side of the gas station the plane's on. And unfortunately, I think it was still, and I understand the fear I think people had. I think it's maybe they think it's difficult to convey. That's why I'm trying to simplify it by saying the second they reference that north side of the gas station, it's a wrap, it's done. That's all you need. But I think there's also the fear of, where the rubber meets the road, and now all these truthers have got to put their lives on the line. Well, they think they're putting their lives on the line by going out and pushing the envelope and, kind of poking the bear, so to speak, by going to all these, avenues to get this evidence out in the forefront of 9/11 truth and justice. So I think a lot of people they were more content going back to their theorizing and going back to I call it picture staring, where they're staring at the photos of the, debris, or staring at the photos of the 5 frames of that object that's going across the lawn. Which, by the way, I'll touch on that too. And that I believe that those 5 frames, that object you see in there, I think that's all inserted. I think the smoke plume is inserted. In fact, if you read our page on it on our site, it was essentially leaked. They couldn't even account for where it came from and who put it out there. From the DOD, they were saying that. The spokesperson was saying that they couldn't take credit for it, they didn't know, or what have you. So there's a lot of shadiness surrounding that clip. And the one point I make is that there's no shadow underneath that plume of smoke, that thick plume of smoke you see. And personally, I believe that the plume of smoke was there to sell the missile disinformation, because that was. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to highlight this. So you're saying that this release of these, what was it, like 5 or 7 stills or whatever it is, Craig will correct me in a second, but these stills that they made a big deal out of, saying, oh, this is definitive proof that a plane hit the Pentagon on that day. This is going to put all the truthers to shame. That this was not actually an official Department of Defense release, that this was just something that got leaked out there, and they're like, oh, I don't know where it came out.
Essentially, yeah, they couldn't account for where it came from initially. That's what the spokesperson said. Cheryl Irwin or Cheryl something, I can't remember. It's on our website. And you got to forgive me, because it's been a long time that I've talked about a lot of this stuff, obviously. So yeah, but yeah, essentially that's it. It was really shady how it was released and who was taking credibility for releasing it. It's like I was kind of hands off, and it just kind of slipped out there. And in fact, the government has not taken any position other than what they did at the NTSB, I believe it was NTSB, the hearing there, where they show the plane on the south path. Other than that, the only other thing where they kind of took credibility for, or took ownership of the light poles being damaged, was with integrated consultants, which was used on the U.S. State Department's site. It was basically an animation that they used to explain how the plane impacted the building, to dispel all the conspiracy theories out there. And so whoever integrated consultants has made this video and explained the smoke plume, because it the jet engine took in a piece of light pole, and that's what created the smoke plume. And so that's the only time they've really taken ownership of it. But other than that, they pretty much stayed away from talking about the light poles. I don't even think in the ASCE report, they don't really get into it. They get into the directional damage, but that's about it. So yeah.
Yeah. So one thing I was going to ask you before, I think the next thing we might want to look at is the some of the accounts from the Arlington Cemetery employees, because those are pretty interesting and important. But maybe before I forget, why don't I just because a lot of people, I think people have been misinformed over the years about the Pentagon evidence, and to some, in some ways, I think that's been deliberate by some people. But a lot of people have this impression that, there were tons and tons of witnesses that saw the plane at the building, and what they don't realize, and I want your take on this, is that so many of those witnesses either didn't make any reference to a flight path of any kind. They sometimes they even admitted later, oh yeah, the plane, went behind some trees, and then there was a big explosion. Some people have the plane scraping the ground with one of the wings, and there's just all kinds of different versions of this. But what's different with your interviews is you got these people on camera,
right?
And you went over it point by point and made sure, even to the point of being redundant. Like, are you sure it's on this side, or
Right. We took a forensic approach, and that's the difference. Because honestly, if Legassi never said anything about being on the starboard side of the plane, I doubt we would have ever uncovered this stuff. I mean, that is the honest truth. He started the ball rolling. He started that domino effect. And Tercios, I'd say almost Legassi and Tercios, because Tercios was like, to me, that was the second Craig and I knew what we had and what we did in finding out this crucial detail. So yeah, nobody was asking about which side of the gas station or how it flew in. It was all how it hit the building. And, I totally believe there were some actors out there trying to sell it. And then, like I said, a lot of it is deduction. A lot of it is people looking at the graphics after the fact and then adding that to their story and how they saw the plane hit the building. But again, if the plane is on the north side, that's one thing that they all got right. That was all corroborated. The plane be on the north side of that gas station. If it's on the north side of the gas station, it did not hit the light poles. It did not show blow and level across the lawn, and it did not hit the building, and it did not cause that directional damage. That's it. That's the end of the story there. So it's a crucial detail. And again, that's why we've been attacked so hard, because we were for quite a while, and maybe even still now, I don't know, but we were at the center of the truth movement. They've not only attacked us, but we've been memory hold. The search engines like Google, you can barely find anything on all our past stuff. Our NSA, the big one that we put out, again, we put that one out. It's a little dry. There's no music or anything, but it was meant to go to be in the hands of, government officials or elected officials and FBI or law enforcement or what have you. But that video was uploaded by different people. And there was one guy, I think it was the name of the account on YouTube was Beautiful Girl by Dana. And it was a guy, and somehow I think he got in touch with us. He was part of the beta program. I don't know if you guys remember that YouTube, you could only upload like, I think 10 or 15 minutes videos. And he was part of the beta program to do the multiple hours. So that's why he was able to put national security alert on there. And I guess this before they got their algorithms, they got coordinated with YouTube or whatever. But that thing blew up to about 700,000 views on that one account alone, with like 3,000 likes, over 3,000 likes, a couple hundred dislikes, thousands of comments, people saying, oh my God, the cab driver, that was so creepy. Oh my God. And there need to be schools named after you guys, and you guys deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. People got it. People understood it. And what ends up happening is YouTube, out of nowhere, pulls them all down. No explanation.
Yeah.
Deletes all of our videos. There's still maybe one or two out there, a few out there. There's a couple on Craig's account. But that was the main one. That was the big one that was getting around. And they took that one down with no explanation. So there's no question we hit a nerve. We got them. I mean, we got them. They know it. We know it. That's why there's been such a dedication from the detractors, whoever they are, to attack us. And if you notice, it's about us. It's about, we're grifters, we're opportunists. And mind you, we haven't made any money to make up any of the money that was spent on going on these trips, okay? Grifters, opportunists, con men, you name it. It's always about us, our technique, or we're unprofessional, or this or that. But you notice they never, ever went to the witnesses. They never went to the witnesses and actually tried to, get them to admit that they were mistaken, or that they, we tricked them, or we led them, or whatever. You don't see that. It's always about attacking us to get people to discard us and not even want to look at the evidence. And that's why, what we did was so powerful. They know it. Everybody should know it. It's why we're talked about so much, why we're so controversial, which we're not. It's simple. These witnesses, they describe a flight path that is irreconcilable with an impact of light poles and damage to the building. It's like I said, it is an open and shut thing. And again, it's even more powerful when you realize that the witnesses didn't realize they were destroying the official story with this simple detail. So that's
the big thing, because that's the thing that tells you that they didn't have an agenda when they were giving you their accounts, because they didn't realize the significance of what they were saying.
Oh, right.
I think we should have a look at the cemetery.
Folks. Let's do it.
Ready for that? Okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, just to introduce this, you'll see in the overhead. We'll show it again later. The Arlington Cemetery is entirely to the north of the Citgo and the Navy Annex, and there's a maintenance building, and there's a bunch of employees that Craig and Aldo interviewed who saw the plane. In fact, I think you'll see they thought the plane was going to fly right at them and crash right into their building. So let's go.
Four.
So it's number 7 is we've got 3 or 4 of them in a row, but let's start with number 7 is William Middleton.
Right up there, he came in between, the Hilton and Navy Annex, and he started dropping. It was coming, I don't know the name of this street here, but it leads to Henderson Hall.
You're talking about the street right here on the north side of the Navy Annex? On the north
side of the Navy Annex. It was coming straight down the middle of the street, and I wasn't what was going on. And as it come past me, it was dropping.
Okay.
And you could...
Now, you were right here at this time?
I was right here, right there where that truck is.
Okay.
And when he came past me, my sweeper, the 3-wheeler, I could feel the heat.
Oh.
That's how close it was
from
to
the
me.
plane itself?
From the plane itself. And as it went down, you could see that he was kind of fighting with it. Then you hear when he kick, a full throttle. So
draw the way you saw the plane come.
From right up there, he came in between, the Hilton and Navy Annex. And I seen him, if this is it, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, these are, different perspectives in what he's probably deducing. That's why it's because it did actually come over the Navy Annex. It crossed over from the south side of Columbia Pike to the north side, which is, we've confirmed that further up the road, with Ed Paik, the auto mechanic, and then, the guys that were in the Navy Annex that had it coming over the Navy Annex. So, yeah, that's, essentially he's picking it up as it's coming over the Navy Annex. And that's why he, deduced or assumed that it was coming down that street, which it kind of pretty much did. But so, yeah. And then maybe just show the other guys.
Yeah. And if he, if that plane had been on the official flight path, he would never have had such a good view of it, and he never would have said, I could feel the heat coming from the plane, if it was way on the other side of that Navy Annex. So it's pretty clear. So, so let's go. Hold on. I've got the wrong document up here. We've got 2 in a row here. Let's play 8 and 9.
I looked up, looking in this direction, and I could see the plane over the corner of that the building there.
What building?
That would be the Naval Annex.
Navy Annex?
Yeah.
Now, did it look like it was directly over the Navy Annex, or Was it farther to the left of it, or what would you say?
From what I seen, it was to the right of it.
To the right?
It was on this corner of it.
Oh, on the right corner.
Yeah, and with those corners, you can see the building in the background, which is the Sheraton up there. It looked like it came over that, and then it looked like it was just over top of the Navy Annex on the right corner of it.
On the right corner?
Yep.
From right up there, he came in between, what's that, the Hilton and Navy Annex.
And we were kind of stunned and knew we wanted to get out the way or something. It appeared that it was coming right for us, actually. So we knew we wanted to get out of the way, but
you mean it was headed right towards the buildings? Like,
yeah, if it came off that end, it looked like it was just coming straight in this direction.
Oh, okay.
It was on the Navy Annex. It was flat. It was just like it was on top of the roof, landing on the roof. It's just like it barely made it over the roof. And then when it got beyond that point, and we started to scatter, it started to bank to the right, still coming forward.
The officially required low and level southern approach flight path is perfectly straight and absolutely cannot be in a bank for the plane to have hit the light poles and building, particularly at the officially reported speed of 460 knots. This very important detail is repeated by multiple witnesses.
Okay, kind of off of this corner. And down here.
Okay.
As I looked over, I noticed the airplane, nice sized plane, was coming in, and it was like, it may have been about no more than 3 feet above the Navy Annex when it was coming across from there. It was looking like it was coming over here for the buildings where we are over here.
Okay, so
that's
it was right on top of the Navy Annex.
It was on top of the Navy Annex.
And it looked like it was headed towards...
It looked like it was headed towards this way.
It appeared that it was coming right for us, actually.
Says this was coming across the building.
That's the Navy Annex, right?
This is the Navy Annex. And as it was coming across, it dropped down a little bit.
Towards you.
But angled.
Okay.
As it was dropping down more.
Yeah.
And then it started angling.
I mean, the thing that strikes me right off the bat, you can speak to it, Aldo, is that their accounts are almost identical. They both put the plane coming just over the north corner of the Navy Annex, coming straight at their maintenance building, which is entirely north of the gas station, and they both describe the same right bank, which, and then Middleton, who's much closer to the Navy Annex, as we saw before, and he also calls into question the speed of the plane, which is another whole issue. But were you shocked when you sort of got some of these accounts and had to find out how closely they aligned?
A little bit. I mean, it kind of, once we got Legassi and Tercios and Brooks, these just kind of were like, yeah, we kind of expect that. But it's interesting because from their perspective, they can see that bank. And that bank is so irreconcilable with the official flight path. There's no bank at all in the official flight path. That thing's supposed to be screaming in at 530 miles an hour, whatever it was, in a straight line, essentially. This thing seems to have slowed, the actual flight path, the plane actually seems like it slows down, banks, because it has to slow down to make that bank. And then, like Middleton said, and I think other people have said, that it guns it, that it throttles up. And then it heads towards, and again, it's still looking like it's going to crash into the ground. It's giving the appearance it's going to crash into the building, but then the last second pulls up into an ascent, and then obviously, does its thing and flies away, flies away, or whatever. So yeah, and I think that deviation in the flight path, my theory is my personal opinion, that deviation is that the second it deviated to that north path, over the north side, on the north side of Columbia Pike, over the Navy Annex, north side gas station, heading, next to Arlington Cemetery, all that stuff, that it essentially became another plane. It's that second plane that they used as a cover story that, coming in at a different angle. And then they've got this other story of it coming in on the south path, knocking down light poles and hitting a cab and, hitting a generator trailer and all this stuff and hitting the building. So I think that could have lent itself to the idea that it was another plane or a second plane. But no, I love them. I love their interviews. I love Darius Prather. I thought he was hilarious. we still love that guy's personality. He's just, just so country and so honest about it and forthright, So yeah.
Well, that's the thing that strikes me when I watch these interviews is that, I mean, you know when somebody is kind of putting on a show or putting on telling a story and trying to get you to believe something, and you can tell when somebody's just telling what they saw, and they're all very authentic. You don't get any sense at all that they have any other agenda than just answering the questions.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to say too, I wasn't actually out there for those interviews as well. And I just want to give a shout out to our guy on the scene, our guy that's in Arlington. He was on our forum. He went by 22205, which is the area code for Arlington. He's an Arlingtonian, and he helped with that. He's helped with a lot of great research. I mean, he's one of our top-notch researchers, and he was great because he actually, was out there, in Arlington, so he could, relate a lot of things that we wouldn't know or think about because he, drives those streets every day. So.
Yeah, that's great. And I should repeat just in case anybody gets confused. Your partner in all this is Craig Ranke, and sometimes when people use the word, they might get a little confused because I have the same first name. So
yeah,
it's
Craig
Ranke and Aldo Marquis are the ones that deserve all the credit for this.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking maybe it might be a good time to look at to hear what Roosevelt Roberts had to say.
Yeah. And this is important because this is what we get all the time that, where's all the witnesses that saw the plane fly over? Where's the flyover witnesses? And trust me, there are flyover witnesses, and you're going to hear evidence to support that, coming up. But people have to understand the different positions, and we've got a video called CIT Crosstown, something to that effect. But it basically is us driving all around the area, all around the Pentagon, the highways, and we show you the POV and how it's not as easy as you think to see the flyover. And again, you've got to stop and think. You're going to have witnesses on the other side of the Pentagon that are going to see this plane flying away, and they're going to assume that it's a second plane, another plane, because they believe that the plane hit the building, right, on the other side, which they didn't see, right? And you also have, most people don't know this, that maybe have seen our documentaries. I'm sure, we've mentioned it in there, and you may have seen it, but the Pentagon's right next to Reagan National Airport. So you've got planes taking off and landing in both directions, depending on the wind, right next to the Pentagon all day, all night. So, you see low flying planes right next to the Pentagon all the time. So once this thing screams away, gets out of there, is, banking out and flying away, it just looks like a plane that's taken off from Reagan. So you've got those witnesses that think it's a second plane. Then you've got witnesses who, again, on the other side, who just think it hit the building and they didn't see the flyaway or fly over, whatever you want to call it. And then I'm sure you've got people who actually saw it. And I want you to really think about it. I want you to put yourself in that position. History's already been made. It's already being written in the history books that we were attacked by hijackers flying planes into buildings, right? And you now are going to be, what are you going to do? You're going to go out there and demand and tell people, no, that plane didn't hit the building. You're going to be confused. I think, first of all, as one witness actually was, you're going to be confused. And then once you resign yourself to the fact that, I saw something I probably wasn't supposed to see, or something I'm not supposed to talk about, you're not going to say anything. You're going to keep your mouth shut, which again is how we get these witnesses to go on records, because they think they're supporting the official story. Case in point, right. Roosevelt Roberts. So yeah, we can play Roosevelt's account. That'd be great.
Yeah, let's set it up before you do, Andy. He was also, correct me if I'm wrong, he was a Pentagon cop also, was he?
He's a Pentagon police officer. He was at the South Loading Dock, I believe the eastern side of the South Loading Dock. And he experienced the explosion, tiles falling off the ceiling. And within seconds, he's running out to the edge of the dock, and he sees the plane flying 50 feet above the light poles around South parking lot, looking like a plane that missed its target that was coming back around. And he described it as a commercial airliner, silver commercial airliner. So, but again, he describes it as a second plane within seconds of the impact that he assumed. And personally, I was just talking with my guy in Arlington that we think that there's a good potential that the bombs inside went off first, and then second, the one out front went off. The explosion, however they did that. So that can explain, what may seem like a time difference. And I'll be honest, we do have another flyover witness that we haven't published, and it may come out, someday soon. But this lends credence to that idea that the bombs went off inside first. But it's another South Parking witness that describes pretty much what Roosevelt describes. So let's.
Well,
and by the way.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say there's a point that I'm going to remember to make after we watch this about what you just said about an explosion happening first, because that would explain one of the points that I've heard made against Roosevelt Roberts' account, and you may have just hit on the reason for but I'll explain that once let's hear the clip.
Yeah, and just keep in mind too, before you put it on, we found him because he was a Library of Congress interview, and he pretty much was describing. We were like, boom, there you go. There's a flyover witness, and again, it confirms exactly what I was saying, that all these accounts that were put out there about a second plane that eventually morphed into the C-130, which was 1,000 feet in the air or something crazy. It was at a very high altitude. There's no way he's describing a C-130. He describes a commercial airliner 50 feet above the light poles in the parking lot, banking out like, it was a plane that missed its target, its landing zone or whatever. So, anyways, go ahead.
So clip 10, Andy.
Let me just ask you a couple of quick questions. There was mainly a couple of specific things. When you had mentioned, right as you hung up the phone, you ran outside. Which parking lot, which dock were you at?
I was in South Parking, and I was at the East Loading Dock when I ran outside and saw the low-flying aircraft above the parking lot.
Okay. Was it a jet, or was it do you remember what kind of plane it was?
It looked like to me at that time a large aircraft liner. It wasn't a jet. It was a commercial aircraft.
Okay. Did it have propellers or did it have jet engines?
It looked like jet engines at that time.
Jet engines. Okay. So how close were you to running outside? Because this seemed to be pretty quick, at least from what your account sounded like. It sounded like literally the explosion happened and then you ran outside. I mean, do you remember how many seconds it was when you heard the explosion and then saw that plane?
From the time the explosion hit till I ran outside. It's a loading dock, and you can run right out to look out and look off. And then you see the flickering lights inside the area, and then real quick I realized that it was some sort of attack, and there was going to be a countermeasure with it.
Right. So how many seconds would you guess?
Maybe 10 seconds tops.
10 seconds tops?
10 seconds tops. Upon impact, I stepped out the little booth that I was in, and the distance between that booth and the edge of that dock is about I'm like 7 steps away from there.
Wow.
So it was extremely close.
Yeah, so I think he's describing the potential, and I know there's an account out there about there being multiple explosions. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. I want to say it was like 2 explosions, but it really to me sounds like that there was internal explosions, and again, this other account that we have kind of lends credence to that as well. So there's a strong possibility that that's what actually happened. But 10 seconds, 5 seconds, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's describing, and again, we go back to it. If the plane's on the north side of the gas station, it flew over the building, flew by the building, whatever you want to call it. It did not hit the building. And so he's just, all he is just, further support for the the confirmation that it didn't hit the building and kept on going. So.
And he says 10 seconds max, right? He doesn't say 10. He says at the most it's 10. Right. And he also says that he only had to go like 7 steps to go out on the dock to see the plane. So it sounds like it could very well have been less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you didn't hear the full interview, but he literally is saying it was 50 feet above the light poles in South Parking, banking, flying like it would look like a plane that missed its target and was going back around. So that is the plane. That is the flyover plane. That is the plane, the jet, the commercial airliner. That's what he's describing. He can't see the impact from where he's at. He can't see that at all. And anybody who tries to imply that or say that is just dishonest, purely dishonest.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, the and I don't want to get into it too much at this point. But that other witness pretty much describing something very similar to what he's describing. And he's perplexed too. And he's perplexed. He's confused by what it is and what it was. So, yeah. And then go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to sort of ask you about Eric Deal, but if you
that's where I was going is to me, that's a perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about. And this isn't even us interviewing him. This was like, probably weeks after, I don't remember the exact date, but weeks after 9/11. And listen to what he says. Yeah. And again, Arlington Cemetery. Think about that. Okay, where it's at. It's on the impact side, the alleged impact side, rather.
So Eric Deal works at the cemetery.
Yeah,
he was located.
No, he's the Arlington Cemetery manager. He's basically the manager of those guys, all the gentlemen at Arlington Cemetery that put the plane on the north side.
All right, this is a short clip, number 11, Andy.
The number of us who were working building 123 right after the explosion was like a double boom, kind of shook us, almost knocked us out of our chairs. We got up and ran outside, and the first few seconds very confusing. We couldn't even tell. Some people were yelling that a bomb had hit the Pentagon and the jet kept on going. Some people were yelling that a bomb had hit the Pentagon and the jet kept on going.
There you go. And did you hear what he also said? A double boom. Did you notice that? He said a double boom. It was a double boom. So again, that lends to the idea that explosives went off inside the building first, and then the big show happened outside after second. So yeah. So that's it. So I mean, again, I'm not. That's what they love to say. Oh, there's no flyover. Well, no, there is. We just showed you. Those are flyover witnesses. Those are, I mean, he's not an actual witness, but he obviously said some people. So some people saw it, and they're in a position to see it. They're in a position to tell. Some of those people probably weren't scared enough, or maybe they were in the building with him and looked out the window when it happened, but some yelled that a bomb went off and that the jet kept on going. So, and there's one other person we're gonna get to that also agreed with us on that, and that's coming up here in a second. But so there's obviously people who saw the plane keep going and fly over. And again, if you accept plane on the north side, then you must accept that it didn't hit the building and kept going. That's it. Or you just think all these people are hallucinating or liars or mistaken or whatever. So
well, I believe it was Frank Legg, who is no longer with us, but he's written papers about the Pentagon, and his explanation is that they were all just mistaken. They all just got that detail wrong about which side, where the plane was.
Right. So, well, and that's my exact point. Is they can just say it, but why don't they do what we did? Why don't they talk to the witnesses? Why don't they call them? They were all around in the years after we put all this stuff out and we were getting attacked. None of these people contacted them other than that one intrepid Canadian guy that didn't really get anything on us, didn't get anything other than more confirmation about what we uncovered.
Right.
So So I mean, again, I keep reiterating that point that they make it about us. They make it about me. They make it about Craig. They attack us. And they refuse to talk to the witnesses. They refuse to go out there, find their own witnesses, find somebody that supports the south of Citgo impact. And nobody does. Nobody can. So.
Well, the next one we've got to show you is Sean Boger, who was the air traffic controller at the Pentagon itself. And as you'll hear in a moment, he believes the plane hit the building too, but
he places it on the north side.
It plays it on the north side. So clip number 12 next.
Where in relation to the Navy Annex was the plane? Did it come
when I saw the airplane, he was practically in front of the Navy Annex.
Okay.
So he was coming like at an angle. You know, his wings were tilted, so it was almost like he was trying to bank towards the Pentagon building.
So you would say he was kind of almost turning towards the Pentagon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, the significant right bank is corroborated by a key witness, even though this important detail is a fatal anomaly when compared to the official data and physical evidence.
You could see the gas station from there, correct? The Citgo?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you say, which side of the gas station would you say the plane was on as it approached? Would you say it was on the left? As you're looking at the gas station, would it be more to the right, like the Arlington Cemetery side? Or would it have been...
on my right and the gas station's left. If I'm looking out the window, if I'm looking towards the gas station, it'll be on my right-hand side. If I'm looking out the window, if I'm looking towards the gas station, it'll be on my right-hand side.
Right. So that's from the heliport. The heliport guy is Sean Boger. So he's, again, a totally different perspective with the plane coming directly at the Pentagon. Again, another north side witness. So
and he's about 150 feet to the north. Is that right? No. He's about 150 feet away from the alleged entrance hole.
Right, exactly. And again, he assumed, he thought it'd impact. Again, are you really going to stand there and stare when you're 150 feet away from a 757 impacting a building?
Yeah, and he says he dove for cover, didn't he?
I believe, I don't remember 100%.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said he dove out of the way. So now so that's a good selection of the witnesses that you guys talked to. Now, a really key part of the whole story is Lloyd England, who was the taxi driver whose cab was allegedly impaled by a light pole that was allegedly hit by the plane on the official path, flying at 530 miles per hour. And as you guys in your research found, these poles weigh like 247 pounds each. And I'm sure we'll get into the poles too. But, the official story is that the plane hit 5 of those light poles without any damage to the wings. But Lloyd England's important because he appears to be there to reinforce the official flight path and those other official details. But when you guys interviewed him, you really unearthed some real problems with his story.
Yeah. So just to kind of give you an idea, the how that whole thing unfolded with Lloyd, we were already, before he even went out there, I think with the loose change guys, we were already looking at Lloyd and thinking his account just didn't make sense. His account was first told on something called the Survivor Fund Project, and he describes the large pole spearing his cab and it falling down with it on top of him or what have you. And it just didn't make sense, mainly because the damage did not make sense with mainly the hood. His hood was pristine; it looked waxed. And so, he was already, we were already suspicious of his account. But again, once we got the north side confirmation, then we knew he was lying. We knew he was implicated. We knew that whole scene was staged, especially his pole. His pole is like the major smoking gun. There's no way on earth that plane coming from the north side of the gas station can hit that pole, let alone all the other poles, and cause all the directional damage. So once we got that, we knew we had to talk to Lloyd. And that's, that actually started prior to the north side. I don't think we had gotten the Tercios' manager, because it was on the loose change trip that we first talked to him with Russell Pickering there and everything. And again, he confirmed, because I guess there's a lot of people who just keep wanting to say, including Russell Pickering, initially tried to say, oh, he's referring to the smaller piece of the pole, the arm or whatever. And no, he's not. He hasn't ever referred to the small piece. He's always referred and stuck to the fact that he claims it was the large, long base or piece of the pole, the entire pole, the majority of the pole, 30 to 40 feet worth of the pole going through his cab. So over and over. And even with pictures in front of him, he still said if he drew it, he used the number 30 to 40 feet, 40 feet. So with in multiple interviews or at least 2 interviews. So yeah, people again, you've got the same people doing the same thing. He passed away in 2020, and all these years, all these people have done. They've never talked to him. They've never tried to talk to him about their theory about they basically imposed their theory about this small piece of the pole hitting his cap and it not being the long piece. That's all they've done is force it. They've just tried to impose it upon everybody, and they had up till 2020 to talk to this guy, but they never had the cojones to go up there and interview him or to call him and interview him and talk to him about this and reinforce their little pet theory. They just kept trying to make us look bad and make him look innocent and say that it was a small piece of the pole, which again, there were no poles hit. That pole specifically, especially, was not hit. So they're just trying to make him look innocent, and they're trying to explain away the lack of damage to his hood. Right. So anyways, there's some other weird things I'm going to show right now that I asked Craig to bring up that not a lot of people.
Yeah.
Remember,
We'll start with the poll one. Does that make sense?
that.
Because that's where he confirms the leg. And I just want to add this comment in. For those who aren't who don't realize this, what's significant about which poll it was, because obviously we both agree it wasn't any poll. He didn't get hit at all. But the key thing is, which poll does he say it was? Because the fact that he says it was the first poll that was hit by the right wing proves that his story can't be true, because there's no way the right wing of the plane could hit a pole and knock it on the other side of the fuselage of the plane in order to hit his cab. So that's why certain other people who seem to want to push the official flight path are trying to scramble to repair the hole in his story by saying, "Oh no, it was a small part of the second pole," because that's more plausible. So,
right. And that's not what he describes. And if anything, you see the second pole lying on the north side of the bridge in the grass. So again, he describes a large pole spearing his cab. Almost, it would have killed whoever would have been sitting in the passenger seat. That's again, they're just trying to cast doubt and cause confusion and sow disinformation. So yeah, let's play that clip.
Yeah, number one, Andy.
And to clarify, it was the large piece of the base.
It's the large piece that was sticking out across the hood.
Wow.
The pole came right on through to the back seat. If anybody had been sitting in the back, sitting in the front on the right side, the pole would have went through them.
Sure. And it actually was laying on your head then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But there are no scratches on the hood.
The sheer weight and length of the pole, in context with the physics of the scenario described by Lloyd, when compared with the total lack of damage to the hood of the cab, reveals a situation that is beyond implausible.
Yeah, exactly. So full confirmation, and at that point we hadn't, really, nailed down all the north side stuff. So that was with Loose Change. That was Dylan Avery's camera and filming it. And that was us, that was me basically talking to him, interviewing about that. And again, trying to know those crucial details, because again, that's what Russell Pickering started to float in defense of him, was that he's talking about a smaller piece of the pole.
Yeah. And the Survivors Fund account that you mentioned, in that one, he actually says that the pole fell onto the front of his car. It didn't. He doesn't even describe it spearing it. He says it fell onto the car, which is also even more impossible.
Right.
And we don't. And maybe hopefully we could do this again sometime and talk more about some of the damage, the damage to the taxi, which is absolutely impossible to have been caused by a pole. But that's another part of the story. But so, all right. So we've got Lloyd, and now you guys interviewed him twice. You interviewed him in 2006, and then you went back 2 years later. I guess once he knew kind of what you had done with the first interview, so he was aware of it, but he spoke to you again.
Right.
And I'm just wondering now, we've got the we've got the thing with his wife that we're going to show, a little clip, but we've also got the sort of remarks that he made in the car about, sort of that's implied involvement. Any particular one you think we should start with?
Yeah, let's just knock his wife out and do that one.
All right. So that one, Andy, is number 14.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to listen close because there's some crosstalk going on.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to, you'll see with the, as you're following along with the text, the subtitles, you'll be able to understand what she's saying, what she said.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 14.
The start of this, and it's not the end of it.
That plane could have
It
hit
didn't all start with 9/11. No, it's been going on. We need a war on our homeland. It doesn't terrorists. You know the planes that go to Iraq.
It went right.
I know.
You know
those buildings represented when it came down with the
Sure. Trade center, freedom, and financial markets, and
they represent the dollar sign that
yes. Yes.
Yeah,
well, yes.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
What did that say? I better go fix that. How'd you hear that?
The dollar sign. Yep.
She knows something. Your wife, she's smart. She knows something. So let's go.
Yeah, so she seems to know that the plane didn't hit the building either. And I believe Lloyd was there. He's in all the photos. So Lloyd, regardless of how he was roped into this or brought into this, obviously relayed that to her because she wasn't there. Whether he knew I doubt he knew what was going to happen. I think he was just told to do a specific thing, show up at a certain time, with certain damage on his car and done to his car. We've got a multitude of theories of how it could have been done, how they did it. But again, and you showed that in your last interview that you guys did with Adam Ruff, how you can see the big scratch drag mark in the road where they dragged the pole into place for the photo op. So yeah, I mean, he was there. He had to relate it to her because she seemed to know. She said, "Yeah, what you said," and then he's like, "Oh, I got to go make dinner." When he confronted her about it. So yeah, why would she do that? Why would she say that? And again, in that, the whole thing starts out pretty contentious because she's like, "Well, yeah," because after we got back after that first interview, he knew that people didn't believe him. I think Pickering may have talked to him after, basically like, yeah, they were a little miffed because people didn't believe his account or where he was at or what have you. So at first it was a little rough trying to get in there, but once he did, then, that's when they started to get those little cryptic confessions from him. So he makes two that really stand out to me. And I'm not sure if you have both of them, but let's see what clips you have there, Craig.
Well, I've got, I put this from National Security Alert because there's kind of the two little chunks that are put together.
Okay.
I don't know
if
that
should be them. That should be them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Andy, why don't you give us, I think, let's scroll back up here. Number 2.
You know what his story is? That's what I said. You got to understand what you're saying. Not the truth. It's his story. Right. It has nothing to do with the truth. It's his story. This is too big for me, man. This is a big thing. Man, this is a world thing happening. I'm a small man. Right. My lifestyle is completely different from this. Right. I'm not supposed to be involved in this. This is for other people who have money and all this kind of stuff.
When you said, wait, what do you mean?
Well, I'm not supposed to be involved in this. I don't have nothing.
So is your point that these people that have all the money,
this is their thing.
This is their event.
This is for them.
Meaning they're doing it for their own reasons.
That's right. I'm not supposed to be in it.
But they used you, right?
I'm in it.
You're in it.
Yeah, we came across the highway together.
You and their event.
That's right.
But they must have planned that.
It was planned. One thing about it, you got to understand something. When people do things and get away with it, eventually it's going to come to me. And when it comes to me, it's going to be so big I can't do nothing about it. And when it comes to me, it's going to be so big I can't do nothing about it. So it has to be stopped in the beginning when it's small to keep it from spreading.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much a virtual confession, if I'd say, he's he knows what he did. You see him grinning, you know, he's grinning. He thinks it's funny. It's something I'm sure he may have wrestled with. I don't know who he was or what he was. I've come up with my own theories, like, oh, maybe he's an asset. He drives a DC cab. I mean, you put some bugs in a DC cab, pick up the right person that you're supposed to pick up, and you're picking up some sensitive conversations or something. I don't know. His wife worked for the FBI, but apparently as a cleaning lady. I didn't think she was an FBI agent. We never thought that. I'm sure I figured it was like a menial type of position. But yeah, I mean, there's too many weird things surrounding him, and obviously the fact that he's directly implicated. You cannot believe his story and all of these north of Citgo, north side flight path witnesses. You cannot. It's just, again, mutually exclusive. You have to pick who you believe. And that brings us to when we were talking about the conspiracy stuff. I don't know if you want to roll. Do you have that other clip?
Yeah.
This is one that not a lot of people probably know or remember, but this is this is one that'll knock your socks off.
Yeah, this one is number 13, Andy.
Well, how about this, Lloyd? On 9/11, you had that book in your car from David Icke.
Yeah, I did.
You know what that book's about? It was your book, right?
Yeah.
What do you have to say about the things he says?
Well, he's familiar with a lot of things I'm not familiar with. He has experience. He has interviews with people that have more knowledge about different things.
Like what?
Well, everything. See, at the time I was reading David Icke's book, I was going to a class every week. We were dealing with stuff like this. I mean, it was a surprise to me that it happened to me, but we were dealing with the thing that happened with some woman that was killed. All this was government stuff. I think they're from England. They're killed in this car in a tunnel.
Oh, Princess Diana?
Right, that's right. We were dealing with all this. I mean, we were dealing with books on
conspiracies.
Yeah. I mean, all this stuff is big game, man. It's hush-hush stuff.
Yeah. Well, we actually show, we didn't get to it, but in the doc, you actually see, because I freaked out. I'm the one who noticed it. It was, his wife brought out Polaroids of the when he got the cab back the next day. And it was literally, she took pictures of it rolling off of the bed of the tow truck. And then she's taking pictures inside. And then I see the David Icke book, Children of the Matrix. And I freak out. I'm like tapping Craig, like, dude, look at this dude, David Icke, Matrix, And again, you got to put this in perspective. This guy is carrying a book on the day of 9/11 when he's involved in staging this event. He's carrying a book about conspiracies, about the deep state, the elite, deep state, whatever you want to call it. I mean, obviously David Icke goes deeper with reptilians and all that kind of stuff. But again, it's a conspiracy book. And here he is at the center of a conspiracy, a major government conspiracy. So what are the chances of that? This older, black cab driver is going to have that book. And then he's at these classes. Now, maybe that's where he got, kind of brought into it. These classes where, somebody there was his handler and, kind of got him involved in it. I don't know, but you could see the book on the seat of his cab, and he's obviously admitting to it, and he goes to a conspiracy class. And if you listen to him, he even says, I never thought that, how did he put it? He said, I never would have thought it would have involved me. Like he's going to these classes about conspiracies, and then he never thought he'd be involved in one. So he's admitting there's a conspiracy right there. So again,
yeah.
I'm, and I know we're wrapping up here, but I always came off as ticked off about a lot of stuff, obviously. And the biggest part is that nothing was getting done. Nobody was going. We gave you guys, and I don't say you guys, I mean the Truth Movement, witnesses who unwittingly destroy the official story, who didn't want to do that, who can be subpoenaed and testify. And then we gave you the first known accomplice. There's guys on that highway with him. There's a firefighter. There's a Saturn with firefighter license plate, and then there's a couple guys actually 3 guys on the highway with him with shirt and ties on. And, you know, the one guy, the white shirt and tie, he's picking up he's walking in the lawn carrying parts, plane parts or some kind of debris. I think he has a clipboard if I'm not mistaken. But, you know, these people can be identified. These people are likely the ones who helped drag the pole into place. These people, you know, we gave that on a silver platter, and it's like nobody did anything, and now Lloyd's dead. Lloyd's gone. So where do we go from here? You know what I mean? And I don't know how, you know, I know one of the Arlington Cemetery, I think Middleton's passed away. This is, you know, 20 years ago or whatever. And these guys are not going to live forever. So it's like, they don't want this to come. They don't want this out here again. They don't want this to be at the forefront again of 9/11. That's why guys like those guys, I'm not going to name names, but those guys are working overtime, and people are still discussing and they're still trying to debunk it. There's a reason for that. Wow. This is very powerful evidence. You don't have that with the tower because the debris is gone. You don't have the people who planted the bombs. You know, you kind of got some semblance of that with the guys on the highway with Lloyd, and then these witnesses that wouldn't have never gave that detail up if they knew it destroyed the official story. So that's my plea to everybody. Get this, you know, let's get this out here. Let's get this out to, you know, these big, you know, the Tucker Carlsons and all these kind of people. Let's like really work overtime because the 25th anniversary is coming up. You know, we got a whole year that's going to be a big one. And I think this stuff should be right there at the forefront. I think this should all shake everybody to their core. I know it did for me. So,
well, hence why we're doing this today. And no, I don't believe that you guys have been treated fairly. And if I can, in my own way, try to recompense for that. Am I using the right word, Craig? I don't know. But
that works. Yeah.
Recompense.
I just want to make a quick. I want to make a quick before you. I want to make a quick comment before we get off. Sorry, Andy. Just to you're talking about the efforts to kind of work against your evidence. The key thing I'd like to say is that what I think this effort has really done, and it's been fairly successful at doing it, is convincing people that this is a very controversial subject. It's very, you know, the evidence is very contentious, and the truth movement's divided, and all this stuff. And my argument, and I think my argument kind of grew out of what you guys came up with, which is that it's not controversial, it's not contentious. That's all contrived. We've been convinced that's the case, but there's no reason for it to be the case. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's all an illusion. It's all an illusion because, you know, we've put out rebuttals, you know, for multiple people, big names, and basically completely destroyed them. They just keep coming, and that should tell you there's no concession with these people. Not one bit, you know, and they're not actually trying to go out there and do what we did and interview witnesses or re-interview them. They just focus on attacking us and trying to convince everybody, don't look here, don't look over here, don't look at this stuff. It's found wanting, you know? So, I mean, there's no controversy. But go ahead, Andy, you were going to say something?
And unfortunately, we gotta bring this in because we got another interview coming up. But whether controversial or not, we're covering it. We're covering it, and that is just the way.
I do have a couple of slides that we were going to look at before we finished. I really want to get those in. They're fast.
Right, let's get those very quick. Let me get the thing up here.
Yeah,
there you go.
They're very fast because this is what I wanted to kind of at least in terms of visuals I wanted to end with. So this is what we looked at the very beginning. Now I just want to show you a series of shots that show the flight path that the witnesses drew on there that Craig and Aldo came up with, and you tell me these people are either mistaken or lying. Now, and I've got Chadwick Brooks. Look at the flight path north of Citgo. William Legacy, almost identical, except with his is more straight, north of Citgo. Robert Tercios, over the corner, but again, way north of the official path. Edward Paik, who we didn't really talk about, he was on the other side of the Navy Annex. He's a mechanic. He couldn't see the Pentagon, but he had the plane over the Navy Annex. William Middleton, who we heard from there. You look at that path. Now look at this: Darius Prather, right bank, and look at Stafford. It's almost identical. Donald Carter, another one, almost identical. And then Sean Boger from the heliport. So I just wanted to finish with that because to me it's so compelling that all of these people, many of whom didn't have any contact with each other at all, basically told virtually the exact same story, and that just can't be chance, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, and look, we've also talked to rescue recovery workers, victims. April Gallup, we had one of the first interviews with April Gallup, what she experienced inside there with her baby. We had a guy who sent us a letter out of nowhere and a couple of Pentagon, commemorative coins or Pentagon shaped, and wrote us a nice letter and said, we appreciate what you're doing. Keep it up. You're, basically the truth's out there. You're going to find it. You're going to get there. Met with this guy. He took us to dinner in DC, then actually I went on a midnight tour of the Pentagon. I walked through the halls of the Pentagon at midnight, thanks to this guy. So this guy's kind of a big deal in the 9/11 space as it relates to the attack. So yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of stuff. We don't talk about a lot of this stuff, but there's just so much backstory behind what we've done and then the efforts that we've made. So we I'm trying to get people to hyper focus on the north of the Citgo flight path. That's the most important part. Lloyd 2 and light pole number 1, the light poles in general. That's number 2, I think. So, but I appreciate you guys tonight. Really do.
We're going to be covering this whole effort here with us, and so, like I was saying before, whether controversial or not, it's here. So learn to love it. But Aldo, thank you so much for coming on Dawn of the Truth today.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Aldo.
Appreciate you guys.